Canes fans, what's going on? We are here for our post-game show on Mark Rogers TV. That's a tough one. That's a tough one for any Canes fan to swallow. Losing to I'm not just going to say a mediocre FSU team. That's a bad football team. Yeah. And we lost to them today in a game that we really needed to prove where, being a rivalry game on top of it, we needed to prove that these last 3 wins weren't just a fluke and that we could go against a team that we've battled for years. Like I said, that rivalry, and to get that as the 4th win would have been a little bit reassuring to me, Jordan. It really would have been, it would have, even though FSU isn't great, it's still that rivalry game on a little bit higher stage for us, just because of what it simply is. The slow start, dude, the first quarter in general. I mean, it held us back, it really held us back.
Man. I mean, how many times have we come on this show, or how many times have I gone on podcasts or YouTube shows or this show or any other medium, and we've talked about a slow start from a Manny Diaz team? How
it's a theme.
Yeah. How do you come out to play against FSU and just get punked in the first quarter? It's FSU, man. And it's whatever.
Hey, I got a question for you here, Jordan. They're asking you, Go Canes is asking Jordan, is this the game that will get Manny fired?
I hope so. I came to the conclusion, probably the Appalachian State game. I was lower on Manny coming into this year than most people. And after the Appalachian State game, I was pretty much done because I was seeing the same pattern that we've seen over the last 2 years that I thought was very toxic was repeating itself into this year. So I was done at that point. If you see 3 years of bad patterns, bad habits, bad decisions, that's good enough for me. So I hope this is the game now.
Did this rightfully just basically take away these last 3 wins that we had? I mean, we beat 2 top 25 teams in the process. Does that basically take all the glory away from that?
Those didn't matter, dude.
Yeah.
It's the thing, and I've said this multiple times, but Manny was not a long-term solution. He was never the girl we were going to marry. I like to use that, right?
Yeah.
If you're dating a girl that you can't marry, just get it over with, bro. And that's what we've been waiting for. These last 3 weeks were kind of a blip on the feel goods, but they meant nothing.
You can't come out in a game like we did, especially the first quarter, where you have 8 penalties and 3 turnovers in that time period. I mean, you shoot yourself in the foot, and then you shoot yourself in the foot again, and then you found another foot to shoot yourself in somehow. It was unbelievable, and we did it. Boom, 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 boom. I mean, it was our opening drives, dude. It was. Let's see. How did we start? We started off punt, interception, fumble, punt, and then scored a touchdown. That's how we started this game today.
Yeah. So, yeah, man. I mean, it's time. It's been time, but hopefully everyone realizes it now. We've just kind of been patiently waiting over here.
Yeah, I mean, I've expected, and people can say whatever they want, but I've expected the wheels to fall off eventually just because I'm not the biggest Manny Diaz fan. I think I made that pretty clear.
I had him on the hot seat coming into this season. After getting blown out by every half-decent team that you play last year, I mean, how could you not be on the hot seat coming into this year? So, my leash was short, and like I said, by the second game, it was even a win. I was done.
I want to address something here. It says, so are people off of the TVD train or? And I'm going to say no, we're not off of the TVD train. TVD didn't lose us this game today, in my opinion. He's actually one of the reasons we got back into that game. So I'm not off the TVD train, and I hope that Canes fans in general aren't off that train yet because he is still a very young, talented quarterback. I'm blaming this one on the coaches a lot more than I am on the players.
Yeah, I'm certainly not. I'm certainly not off the Tyler Van Dyke train. I mean, so one thing I thought during the game, especially early in the fourth quarter when we were playing red hot on offense, was when was the last time the Miami Hurricanes had a quarterback where when he dropped back to pass, you felt 100% confident? Because I feel that way about Tyler Van Dyke. Like he drops back to pass, I'm very confident. Probably more confident than I've ever been. Maybe there was a few Brad Kaya stretches in there, but like Van Dyke is the truth. He's young. One of those interceptions was probably not his fault. I actually didn't see the first one yet. The game hadn't switched over from. I don't have ESPN News, so it hadn't switched over to the broadcast yet. But I'm still a big Tyler Van Dyke fan. In fact, last week we really hammered the point of Van Dyke, Rooster, Charleston Rambo. Once again, that's kind of our team. There's not much else going on the offensive side of the ball besides those three.
Well, look what happened to start the game off when we couldn't get them going. I mean, those are the three guys we really couldn't get cooking early. You didn't get Rambo involved until the second half, basically. Yep. And then Rooster's first half stats were, I think he had like 2.7 yards per carry or something like that, 11 carries for 30-some yards. I mean, you got to be able to find a way to get an explosive player into space, and I don't know why we couldn't do it. I just don't get it. FSU, they didn't throw anything at us that was just crazy, Jordan. Honestly, they didn't throw anything at us that blew my mind. They played how I thought they were going to kind of play, and they were going to have their horses on the defensive line try to beat our linebackers or our offensive linemen as often as they could. And it's oh man, it's this one is just very frustrating for me. It's very frustrating knowing how good we have played these last couple of games against teams that are better than FSU. That Pitt team, they are better. Period. North Carolina State, they are better. Period. Yeah. So it's just, I guess that's what crawled under my skin a little bit. Not just the rivalry loss, not just Manny Diaz in general. The whole freaking thing, dude, has really, really just screwed my head up.
Yeah. No, it's frustrating. The whole situation is frustrating. We do this, we put out content, we get criticized often for being a little negative, and then our analysis ends up being correct, and then it's whatever. Hey,
all we can do is just keep speaking our mind and giving our points.
Chugmo Beer, thank you for the $5 donation. Appreciate it, man. 4th and 14 game on the line, and Diaz doesn't call a timeout to settle the defense and call the correct defense inexcusable. Fire Manny, fire Blake. Well, you're preaching the choir here, my friend.
No doubt.
Alex Perez, thank you, man.
$4.99 donation, Alex. Thank you. It says, how sad is it that Manny Diaz had less of an idea of what FSU would do than us fans? It says, give me Bill O'Brien, Jesus Christ. And I'll tell you what, Alex, I have been preaching the Bill O'Brien to Miami thing for a little while now, for a little over a month, about 2 months, I'd say probably now.
That's a name I'd be happy with. I honestly, I'd be a little surprised if he had interest. And this is me coming from a place of just speculation, pure speculation.
I hope he does, Jordan. I do. Yeah. I think he's the type of guy that we really need at Miami.
Yeah. He's kind of he's a jerk, but that's not always a horrible thing, right?
I'm in the mood to have a militant asshole come in and start, kind of towing the line. Like, I'm sick of all this extra crap. I'm ready for guys to come in, bust their ass, and learn what winning football really looks like.
Yep.
Alex Perez, thank you again for the $4.99 donation. As soon as I saw 4th and 14, my mind went back to UNC 2019. Dude, yeah, I can see exactly why you had a little flashback there. And unfortunately, not a comfortable flashback.
So I had a thought, Go Canes put up there, Jordan, if Manny gets fired and Blake James, who are realistic head coach and AD. So I'm not going to pretend like I've done a whole bunch of research on athletic director candidates. I know there are people out there that have, and I've consumed, their ideas, right? Someone brought up the Baylor athletic director, and, he's done an incredible job over there. But watching the Baylor-Oklahoma game, I would not be opposed at all to trying to get everyone from Baylor. Honestly, Dave Aranda, Jeff Grimes. Yeah. Jeff Grimes is, 19-3 in his last 2 years as an offensive coordinator. He was at BYU last year, put Zach Wilson number 2 in the draft. Now he's at Baylor.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be bad at all.
I would gladly take
all three
a
of those guys.
group of guys like that who want to do something and who have proven that they can get something moving. I'd gladly take that.
Yeah.
But my guy is Jordan. I mean, honestly, my guy is still Zoe. I want Zoe Highsmith taking over the AD operations, and I want him having his hands right on football operations in the offices, like the higher level, the brass that you want to call it. I want that guy in there because that means that we have a guy who's an AD who actually is focused on football.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that for sure. Knox Kane says, why is LT not on the field consistently? Ross, do you want to take that one?
It's a tough one, honestly. I wish I knew the answer to that. I'm afraid that even with the youth showing that they can play, seniority has still kind of been an issue for us no matter what.
Okay.
Certain guys got injected due to various reasons, but not to reasons that the staff really wanted to do. It was their backup plans, and the backup plans happened to be better than the starters. I'm a little irritated at it, dude. I don't know why Taylor's not out there more, and I think it's a total disservice to the entire defense to not get him out there more and let him cook because we know he can play. We do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I don't know, man. I mean, this coaching staff is just an enigma. I mean, at this point, we're trying to make excuses and speculate on the rationale of, people that aren't going to be employed at the school for much longer. So, it kind of seems like a fruitless exercise, if you ask me.
Got a question there for you.
If we get Alonzo Highsmith, could Mario Cristobal come as well? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I mean, Oregon, with Oklahoma losing, if they ran the table, they were going to get a playoff spot. So them losing today increases Oregon's chances of getting a playoff spot. They have all that Nike money. If they make the playoffs, Mario wins a third straight Pac-12 championship. I mean, those are all good reasons to not come. Obviously, he's a South Florida guy. He has roots, family, all that stuff here. Those are good reasons to come. It's hard to speculate on what his decision-making process will look like. It is bleach. Half bleach, half vodka. No,
it is bleach. Yeah, right?
I'm just kidding.
Bleach, half vodka. I love it, man. Well, I'll tell you what. I got an answer to that question as well here. I totally believe 100% that if Alonzo Highsmith is the guy and they prioritize him and bring him in at AD, that the plan is to bring in Cristobal with him. Now, is that going to outright happen? I can't call that one because getting to a bidding war with Oregon isn't going to be pretty. What if a school like USC wants to try to get Cristobal and start tossing around a bunch of money? So that's not a good spot for us to get stuck in. All we can hope for in that aspect is that he's a guy who wants to get back home and correct the school that he played for. That would be the way to get him in. And it's tough to do, man. It's tough to ask a coach to almost go backwards,
Yeah, and I did a Twitter space last night and kind of talked about some of this stuff. Is like we are running out of football reasons to get high-level candidates here, which is really sad if you think about it. I mean, it's getting to the point that if you're Luke Fickell, Cincinnati just secured a Big 12 spot.
Yep.
So, I mean, how reasonable is it to think that Luke Fickell could turn us down to stay at Cincinnati? And that's kind of where we're at, man. And it's because we've been so complacent with mediocrity, right? We're 2-4, and we rip off a 3-game win streak, and people are like, "Oh, wait, like this is good enough now." It's like, no, it wasn't good enough because
that's what it felt like. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, we returned 19 starters. You can't start 2-4.
Yeah. Marquise Whitty, I just want to thank him real quick for the donation. He says, "I can't believe he punt. Low balance. Fire Manny." Boom. Boom. Nailed it, Marquise.
Yeah.
So, Jordan.
Yeah.
You lose this game. The Miami Hurricanes lose this game.
Yeah.
Are we both feeling Diaz will get fired before this season, or do you have a different feeling on that still?
That's a tough question because just to belabor, I feel like I'm belaboring so many points that we've made in previous episodes. But I mean, how much do you trust the administration to make the right move? It's very apparent what the right move is right now. I think we all know, looking at the chat, everyone knows. Okay? Everyone knows that firing Manny Diaz is the right move, but how much confidence is there in the administration to do that soon?
Here's a great point that Briley just brought up here about our recruiting class, about how we're ranked so low and have so few players as it is. Losing this game to FSU sure as hell didn't help, guys. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
You guys know I speak with a lot of recruits very often.
Yep.
FSU 2022 and 2023 recruits, they simply have more buzz than Miami does. And that was even after we dropped 52 on them last season. They found a way to kind of collect themselves and create some buzz that got guys, heck, they got guys like Travis Hunter interested, locked in there. So this is a bad look for us locally in recruiting, dude. This is a bad look. And I don't know if it's going to be combined with the fact that our guys can't recruit good locally, or they're not wanting to recruit locally. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what it is. The 2022 class didn't have as much talent as normal in that area, but that's still no excuse to not have any players from our own backyard right on our team. And I'll tell you what, take a look at some of these offers we've made recently. I feel like we're starting to worry a little bit. We're starting to make some offers I did not expect us to make.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, Manny knows. Manny is a politician. I mean, everyone says that, it's kind of cliche, but it's true. Like, he says one thing and does another, So he's saying how he's not worried about anything, he's leaving those spots open for the transfer portal, and then he's, making offers that, as you say, you didn't expect. Well, he's panicking too.
Let's talk some stats here, Jordan, okay?
Yeah.
I want to talk some first half stats with you because I got some that stuck out to me that are pretty alarming.
Okay.
So we got TBD. This is the first half, guys. Yep. TBD, 9 of 21, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 1 fumble.
Wow.
Knighton, 11 carries, 30 yards, 2.7 yards per carry. TBD himself, negative 2 yards rushing. Mallory led the way in receptions with 2 for 57 yards. Harley, 3 receptions, 17 yards. Keyshawn Smith, 2 receptions, 12 yards, 1 touchdown. Rambo, here's the one here it is right here. Rambo, 1 reception for 3 yards. That was the first half, bro.
Do you know what he finished with?
No, I know he put up some stats after that.
6 for 95. He's a beast, man. Rambo is a beast. He had 92 receiving yards in the second half.
I mean, he did that all of that coming off of a terrible first half. Often you don't see wide receivers make those kind of leaps after they've had struggles early. But he's proving to be a guy who can, while he wasn't depended on for 4 quarters a day, he can be depended on in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So, I mean, was this the death of us? Was this slow start what the ultimate death of today was for us? Or was there something else that stood out to you that might be why we lost this game?
I think it was, because I thought this game could go one of 2 ways, right? Coming into this game, I knew that, there was a mismatch between our passing game and Florida State's defensive backfield, right? Yeah. There was also the mismatch of Florida State's run game versus our run defense.
Yeah.
And so I thought this game could go 2 ways. We could come out guns a-blazing, get up 28-0, and then just, force FSU to pass, which is not what they want to do, and then just, ride off into the sunset. Or I thought Florida State could come out playing smash mouth football. If they get some 3 and outs, they could really control the clock, that type of thing. I wasn't really expecting all those turnovers. But, they kind of ate our lunch and controlled the clock all first half, and it was effective. It was a smart game plan. It's what I would have done if I was Mike Norvell.
Yeah.
And it worked. So, I mean, you can't always get turnovers like on command, right? But the game plan worked for FSU, and it It's tough, man, because I mean we came back, we got up by 8.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man.
Alex, thank you for the donation, man. He says, "How sad is it that I, as a fan, look back at 2017 as the best Canes football I've ever seen?" Says, "I hate my life, bro." I hope you don't truly hate your life, Alex. But I mean, hopefully, change is coming now because of what happened today. I don't see how change can't happen anymore. You can't lose to this FSU team and keep your job at Miami. I just don't see how, Jordan. I really don't.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Ross, Manny's got to go. His defense are just not effective. Absolutely, South Georgia Cane. Thank you for the donation. And you're preaching to the choir here, man. Manny Diaz's defense from top to bottom is a failed scheme. This is an old scheme that hasn't been adjusted to defend the new era, new spread offense eras. Manny Diaz has proven that he can't adjust as a coach to make those changes to give us consistent coverage or consistent pass rush against these type of teams. All these players on defense are all Manny's guys. He was all part of their recruitment. He's been part of their development the entire time. And this is what we see. We see the worst linebacking core at the University of Miami that I've ever seen. It's not even close. I mean, it's not even close.
It's not close. It's not.
Dyke looked slower today than he did last week, and I don't know how that's possible.
Yeah.
Thank you for the donation, Frank the Legendary. He says the game was lost on the 4th and 14 play. I mean, that's fair. It's fair, man. I mean, that was a gut, one of those gut ones where it just slipped you right open.
Yep.
So what do you do if you're, let's say, you do a little role play here for you, buddy? Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
You are Blake James, and you are Blake James with his tendencies, with his mentality, with all the shit that goes along with him, right?
Let me try to become really incompetent for a moment.
What conversation do you have with Manny Diaz after this game?
Well, it'd probably start off with, "Well, Manny, if I wasn't fired myself, I'd fire you, but if I was still employed at the university right now, we'd probably have a discussion about your job. But you'll have to talk to someone else about that."
I mean, it seems like there's the rumors going around that Blake himself is already gone too. That we're already pushing a distance there between them. So, I mean, hey, here's the thing, though. If we're starting to do that already, and we're starting to sense that he's obviously not the right move going for us forward in football, maybe that means that we're actually going to try to bring in a football mind. I hope. That's all I can ask for. I don't want to bring in one of these guys that they go, "Oh, well, he oversees everything. He oversees softball really well. Yeah. He oversees these other sports and all that stuff really well. He's had a little success in football, but mostly spread around." I don't want that crap, bro. I want a football-minded athletic director.
How about a fundraiser? How about we get another fundraiser in here?
That's Blake James for you. I mean, if we want to run the fundraiser crew to death, I mean that's him. There's always been the talk here too of, even if the school for some reason doesn't want to get rid of Blake James necessarily, that he could stay in some kind of a role of a fundraiser type role. But I don't think he could take that shot to his ego. Honestly, with the type of guy he is, I don't think he could.
Yeah. I don't mind the idea. If you guys haven't listened to the Orange Bowl Boys podcast where they had Alonzo Highsmith as a guest, highly recommended. But they kind of brought up the point of, the idea of having like a football CEO type thing, or like a general manager of the football program, or, just a division between football and the rest of the athletic department. I actually think that's a pretty visionary idea, right? Like, college football is a ever-evolving sport, right? It changes, and it changes quickly. And it's a big business, man. I mean, college football is $1 billion business, So I think Miami should try to get out in front. If we do something where it's like, hey, we're bringing in an athletic director, but then we're also bringing in Alonzo Highsmith as the president of football, and he has unilateral control over the football program, and, is kind of a co-athletic director with only one focus. Why not? Why not? Why not pioneer something like that, right? I mean, football is a business now. College football, because the players can get paid. they pretty much have free agency with the transfer portal, right? So why not poach an NFL guy and bring him in, with ties to the university? He knows the standard that he needs to be at. He has a background in scouting. So, I mean, think of the work that he could do in the transfer portal, right? And just with recruiting, if he could, I don't know. I think why not? We're at the point where I'm open to suggestions, and the idea of having like a football czar or a president of football or something like that, it's creative, and it might be something that could change college football. And that's what the University of Miami used to do.
Yeah, we used to be the innovators.
Yeah,
that's we changed the game and changed it in a way that it was advantage for us. We figured out how to take our strengths and impose them over our team to the point where it was just utter domination. Jordan, you got a question here. It says, Jordan, what do you think of Manny blaming Blake James on recruiting?
Nah. I mean, Blake James is an idiot, but no. Like our recruiting class sucked way before Blake James put Manny on blast. So that's just Manny deflecting, Maybe Manny knew that Blake James was a stinking ship and is trying to distance himself from it. Because, I mean, if you think about it, if we're having this conversation last week, who is more likely to keep their job? I bet all of us would say Manny.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And now I think the odds are both less than 1%.
I agree.
But Manny had a chance to save his job. I'm not sure Blake did. So
writing on the wall for Blake.
I think that was just deflection.
I want to address this topic here, though. He said we were talking about the fundraiser stuff with the AD. So it can't be broke and have a fundraiser as an AD at the same time. We're not broke.
Yeah,
we're not broke. We are in the green financially. We were in the green by about $5 million just off of our football team alone.
Yeah,
that gave us money to spread around to our non-revenue sports. Of course, we should be getting more funds than that. I mean, we shouldn't settle on just that. But at the end of the day, he is in the green, and that's what's kept me a little bit worried about this, Jordan. That he could still sink his teeth into this somehow in some way and stay involved. And I want it clear cut. I want him gone. I want him off the university, and he can pack Manny Diaz bags. They can walk hand in hand down the road together, skipping, singing lullabies, and they can go knock on Temple's door and say, "Hey, will you guys take me back?"
Yeah, Manny's going to be coaching at FIU next year, man.
Oh God, I'd love to see that.
I mean, that is such a natural fit. Can you imagine him and Willie Taggart duking it out in the Boca Raton Bowl?
The two guys that were supposed to come in and change Florida, FSU, and Miami football. Yeah, right. I would love to see those two failed guys having to go head to head in a pointless ass league, and basically in a pointless ass conference.
Out in a showdown of Florida football, right? FIU versus FAU.
Yeah, where schools where you can go undefeated and you still won't be a top 15 school.
Yeah.
Says okay, $4.99 donation. Thank you, Eric T. Smith Sr. Says 3-3-5 is a horrible defense. Why did Manny not call timeout on that 4th and 14? This is all on him now, and he blames the players being too hyped up. Dude, nailed it. I mean, absolutely nailed it. The 3-3-5 defense is washed. It's out of date. It's old, and we're not even doing anything to try to update it. That's the problem I have. We're not even attempting to make these changes. I mean, why the hell are we toting out slow linebackers? Well, Chase Smith, get him involved in the freaking game. What is it going to take? Is it going to take an injury to have to get him involved like it has for other young guys? Can these coaches not do what's right? Wait, like an actual call on their own, or do they have to be forced into it?
Yeah, I mean, you've made that point, in weeks past, is that Manny doesn't do the right thing on his own. He is a stubborn, prideful person. Like he does not want to change his ways to prove that we're right. I agree. Everyone needs to go. I agree. Ghost 44. Everyone.
There's a comment here from Adam, the sports guy, says Manny makes a bowl, he keeps his job. Okay. I can see the argument for it still, especially with the 5-year contract. I could see there being an argument, but I don't think it's the strongest argument right now. Honestly.
Here's the thing: is there is a huge disparity between what should happen and what probably will happen, and that's a big That's a problem with the university right now. So
Yeah, has
if
been for a
that
while.
happens, if that's what you mean, Adam, that's a plausible outcome. Yeah, it's a very plausible outcome, but that's unfortunate because it's a really dumb decision.
Bosworth, bye Bosworth. You made a fantastic comment here. It's something I've spoken on in the past. If I don't know if the BOT if they'll fire Blake, James, and Manny, but I do know that T-Rob isn't staying around for this show, basically shit show. Exactly. The rumors that I have heard are that T-Rob will even take a lateral job to get out of Miami. The relationship's sour. It's over, and it's not just Manny Diaz. It's the University of Miami. It just seems like there seems to be a disconnect there for him, and I hate it, dude, because that was the guy for me, man. T-Rob was the guy for me. I thought we were finally learning a little bit. I thought maybe we were going to bring T-Rob in to help update our secondary into the new era to defend spread offenses. But no, we brought T-Rob in to run Diaz's tired old secondary, bro. Washed up, tired old secondary. So, I mean, if it's true that T-Rob literally stormed out of a meeting because of stuff that Diaz was referring to that they had to do on defense and just stormed out, if that kind of stuff's happening, Diaz here or not, I'm worried he's going to be gone, bro. I really am.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we're already going to be making new hires, might as well make a lot of them.
There is no other T-Rob. That's the problem for me, though, bro. That's why I'm so passionate about this one here. There is no other T-Rob.
Yeah.
I don't know how to make him happy, though, with what's going on. I don't know if there's a hire out there that would be perfect for him where he could go, hey, well, you know what? I can push the bad stuff in the past and I can leave it there and go forward. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, do you think he takes DeMarcus Van Dyke with him? He's been huge for our recruiting.
Bro, that's a damn good point. I didn't even think about that. Yes, he could definitely try to poach him with him and just being able to say, hey, look, you stay under my wing for a little bit. You stay under my watch for a little bit. You will get a job like I have in a couple of years. Keep recruiting like you do. Develop the players. Learn coaching schemes. And you're going to get your shot in a couple of years. And he can say that with a lot more confidence than anybody at Miami being left over could say of trying to keep him. Yeah. T-Rob has a brighter background when it comes to making smart decisions in recruiting and then developing and then putting guys into the NFL. We don't have anybody else on our roster or on our defensive side that offers that. He's our best defensive recruit. Look at our recruiting class. Without T-Rob, we're freaking screwed.
Yeah. I mean, we're already screwed right now with him. So it's not getting better, I can tell you that.
Jordan, how about Tom Herman or Chris Peterson, next head coach at Miami?
So I've been championing Tom Herman for a little bit now. And there's a reason why. Like, I get that he's not in the same class as like a Luke Fickell or probably a Mario Cristobal or even a Dave Aranda, in my opinion. I think Tom Herman is probably the best of the rest. Like, in my opinion, the guys that we realistically have a shot at who, if we gave them a phone call, it really makes sense for their career to come here. Tom Herman is probably my favorite candidate in that group, right? And for all the reasons that we've talked about, I think there might be a little bit of there might be a surprising amount of people not interested. Right? The university's in a precarious situation lately. There's going to be a lot of turnover in the athletic department. So I could see some guys like Luke Fickell just being like, you know what, I'm good. Because Ohio State will take me whenever they're looking, USC wants me really bad. Like, I don't need that mess in Miami, right? So yeah, if we don't get Fickell, we don't get Cristobal, we don't get a guy like Aranda, I think Tom Herman's the guy you call and give him a shot. He's actually younger than Manny Diaz.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
He's already beat Jimbo Fisher. He beat Jimbo Fisher in the New Year's Six Bowl when he was at Houston. He beat Lincoln Riley in the Red River Shootout. Okay. And he also beat Kirby Smart in a New Year's Six Bowl while he was at Texas. So think about having a 46-year-old coach that's already beat probably 3 of the 5 best coaches in college football. Like, that's a really good foundation, right?
Yes, absolutely.
The best coaches that Manny Diaz has beat, Pat Narduzzi and Bronco Mendenhall.
I'm seeing some guys chime in about Bill O'Brien. I'm right there with you guys, man. That is That is the militant asshole I want on our sidelines. The guy, and I made mention of it too before, the guy who's willing to yell at Tom Brady on the sidelines during a perfect season. Yeah. That's the kind of guy I want. And what he did at Penn State was incredible. Yeah. It was absolutely incredible. The darkest cloud in the history possibly of NCAA football or of a college in general. And he kept them still a functional team and kept them moving forward and positioned his way into higher and bigger and better things. But, dude, if he wins the title with Bama this year and he's the OC, the boost it will give him in recruiting alone as a name is going to be a big deal. He can carry that to the next coaching job he gets, because I'll tell you what, if we don't go after him, somebody else is, and they'll get him.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would be very happy with that if it happened. My suspicion, to me, I think if Bill O'Brien wants an NFL job, I think it'll be there. You know, which, I mean, in my opinion, if you look at his track record, you know, he took a 3-year cup of coffee in college football, and he's been an NFL guy every other year. So I suspect that he'll look for NFL jobs, but you know what? If he's the hire, awesome. I'm down with it. So,
do you think that now this is going to be based off of the fact that we maybe don't bring in the right guy at AD? You know, we don't make the proper move on that. Do we just basically end up keep doing the same stuff over and over again, or is there a coach that we can bring in that is good enough that kind of forces us to be good? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how to word exactly, but a coach that's so good that even the guys at the top can't screw it up for us. You know what I'm
saying? I was talking about this a few weeks ago, and I said that the only way that we're good again is on accident. And I think that's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Is it, you know, it'll take us hiring, you know, one of the Al Goldens of the world, you know, or a guy from Temple, or, you know, say we hire the guy like Jamie Chadwell from Coastal Carolina, right? And he just ends up being like, you know, the next incarnation of Lincoln Riley. You know, it's going to take something like that if we don't have a massive overhaul.
Yeah. Will we resort to then an inexperienced coach for cheaper? If that's the way we're going to continue to go, if we're not going to make that smart move at AD?
That would be horrible. And that's kind of why I bring up Tom Herman, is I think he's kind of that guy where it's like, you know, he needs to rehab his image a little bit. If you look at his track record at Texas, it's actually way better than you'd think for getting fired. I mean, he went 7-3 and got fired after. Yeah. Like that's the season that Manny Diaz is hanging his hat on, right? And yet Tom Herman got fired after, and he's 5-0 in bowl games. Like, so
standards, bro. Standards are so wild, aren't they?
Yeah, and I mean, he had won I think it was like the Peach Bowl like 2 years before he had beat Georgia. So I'm thinking that like he might be the guy that, you know, if we strike out on the big dogs and then we're just like, oh well, it's kind of a retread time. That's kind of why I keep pushing Herman. I feel like he's a perfect guy for that spot.
We got a donation here from that's the homie, actually. I know Chonley Terry. He's up in the Northwest.
Thank you.
He's in Bremerton out there. He said, I tried to like Manny. I really did. But my God, this is just terrible. His mom should have gulped and saved the whole world. This tragedy of a coach. Oh, man. I should have read that one before I posted a little more. That's still good, though, man. That's funny as hell.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin. That's a name I keep seeing popping up here, too, Jordan.
I would love Lane.
I would. The swag, bro. The swag, the confidence. I just don't know if the Miami brass would love him.
Yeah. And my question is, if you're Lane Kiffin, why? Why Miami? Why would you change jobs?
That's my question to any coach right now that has a decent job. Honestly, is it worth it to come to Miami where other guys are failing back to backs, and then you see the struggles it takes for those next head coaches to get back in the mix? Al Golden was in the NFL coaching positional stuff. You know, he wasn't a head coach. He wasn't getting those offers. Even the UConn job they talked about, they went with Jim Mora Jr. instead. They didn't even take Al Golden. So being a head coach at Miami and failing, it's rough on your career, man. It really is. And I think that's starting to be something that the coaching world is catching wind of. I think they're starting to finally look back and go, wow, it's happening each time down the road.
Yeah,
These guys are just getting slaughtered and having to work their way back up through nothing but messes.
They can't work their way back up. I mean, that's the thing, is like the only coach that we've had since Butch Davis who's gotten another head coaching job is Larry Coker at starting the UTSA program.
Yep. Low level.
Yeah. And he did it for like 2 years and then got fired.
And based off of the fact that he coached the greatest football team in history, in college football history, he coached that team and was there with them. So I get why somebody might want to have given a shot on him, but it was clear that not the big dogs didn't want to take a shot on him, or he would have gone there. He wouldn't have gone to start it over.
And he was out of coaching for like 5 years. They brought him out of retirement. I think they just wanted to make headlines like, hey, there's a national championship coach that
Yeah.
So
try to get the program off on the right foot early.
Yeah. And I think he went like 1-11 his first year. Surprise.
Tony Gomez, I got to agree with him here. He said, we can talk about coaches all we want, but in my opinion, the only 2 words that will fix this program is Alonzo Highsmith. Bro, I'm on that train. I'll be the conductor of that train if we need it to be, dude. I mean, this is what I want at the University of Miami. There's absolutely no doubt about it. I really don't even talk about other options because I don't want anybody else.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong. There are good ADs all across the nation, but there's ADs in places that are good that they're not going to leave it just to come to Miami. Alonzo Highsmith, though, he wants to be at Miami. He literally wants to be at Miami. I want guys that want to be here. Even in return, we talk about that in recruiting. That's one thing, that comes up. Well, you want guys that want to be Canes. You don't want to chase after guys that might not want to be Canes. You want guys who want to be Canes, put on the orange and green, and basically battle to the death if they have to in our jersey. Alonzo Highsmith would be focused on getting things like that back. And it's why I don't have a plan B, Jordan. I really don't right now. I know I need to, and I need to start doing a little more research on it, but I don't have a plan B because I'm so sold that Zoe Smith is what we need at Miami.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that. My worry is that I hope that we don't buy into the idea, and by we I mean the university as a whole. I mean, I hope the university does not buy into the idea that one guy can fix stuff. I think we need a culture shift, starting at the board of trustees, right? I think the culture shift.
Good call.
There was an article that came out that said that Julio Frank will start using like donations and booster money on the football program. Now that's the type of culture shift it's going to take, and then it's going to take the boosters or the board of trustees saying, yeah, we'll pony up the extra $600,000 to get the highest paid the highest paid coordinators. We'll pony up the extra $1 million to buy this guy out because we need him, right?
Yeah.
So I think it takes a overall culture shift, and I don't want us to just kind of hang our hat on like, hey, that's a guy, like let's get him in here, right? If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. Norman, thank you for the $10 donation. Says if Manny is let go, we could lose a number of our young players. Unfortunately, this could happen with the class of 2022. This is a pill we may have to swallow if things are to be corrected. There's facts there. That is absolute facts. We will lose a couple players by making a change like that because that's what happens every time there's a coaching change. You lose some young talent, unfortunately. Yeah. What it's about, though, it's about retaining the right young talent, in my opinion. We're going to lose a guy or two possibly, but it's about retaining the right guys and letting them know that Miami's the right place for them, and then showing them by our hires and our coaching hires that we're going to bring guys in who are going to fit their strengths and work with their strengths. That's where I think we can keep some of the higher, we got the James Williams of the world, you've got even guys like Romello Brinson who haven't even fully developed yet, but with high upside. Showing them that we're going to get the right coaches around them, I think would be a big deal, dude. And I think it would help keep them there. But it's not something we could dink around and play around with. We got to make that move, and we got to make it sharp, and we got to make it as fast as we can while doing our due diligence. It's not an easy thing.
Yeah, so I got a question for you. So let's say we have a staff adjustment, right? Let's just hypothetically say that Alonzo Highsmith and Mario Cristobal is the move. Okay. Now let's go along the roster. We got Tyler Van Dyke, we got Rooster and Don Chaney coming back. Rambo will probably be gone, but we have Romello Brinson, Xavier Restrepo, all the young receivers. We got those dogs on defense, Avante Williams, James Williams, Leonard Taylor, Cam Kinchins. If that's the setup, who is stopping us from winning the Coastal next year? Which program in the Coastal is going to be better than we are?
Shouldn't be anybody, right?
I can't think of any. And you know me. I am not a guy to blow smoke up the university skirt for no reason.
Yeah.
I could not think of a school that would be in better position to win the Coastal than us next year.
This year. Just look at the raw numbers this year. The Coastal and the ACC in general is awful, and we still couldn't take advantage of it, bro. Yeah. The worst I've ever seen the ACC since we've been in it, and we still couldn't take advantage of it. That team lingering at the top, Clemson, they're not sitting at the top bullying everybody right now. Yep. This was our opportunity, bro, and it sucks, man. It sucks because we know coming back with the experience we had and with the young talent we had, if we mixed it properly, we could have made things happen, but we didn't do that early. We just played our old washed-up guys and didn't let the youth perform, and everybody knows that, and that's what's a shame, honestly. It's why we're in the situation we're in. It's why all these games were must-wins for us. It's why they're must-wins for not just the football program for the players' sake, but to keep the coaches. If they want to keep their jobs, they were going to have to win too. I don't see how Manny Diaz survives this. I don't see how he survives this, and I don't see how he can be our coach next season. I just don't, dude.
Well, so here's something crazy that I just looked at. So if Virginia beats Pitt next week, it will be twice since Manny Diaz was hired that Virginia wins the Coastal Division.
Virginia,
Bronco Mendenhall, okay? Like, he's a good coach, okay? But he does not – he punches above his weight class,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like he – the fact that a long time just meh, if you describe Virginia's football program and all of its history in one word, it's meh.
Yeah, blah.
Yeah, and they're going to win the Coastal twice during the Manny Diaz tenure. That says a lot to me, right? It says that we don't have a lot of competition, and yet we are still not doing anything.
If this would have been a normal ACC year and the dominant teams would have been dominant, I'd have gone, okay, we're not there yet. We're obviously not there yet. But we had the chance to sneak in and make something happen we haven't been able to make happen yet and compete. And actually genuinely compete for the ACC title. But, dude, it's losing to a team like FSU. We don't deserve that. We don't deserve nice things this year. We don't deserve to pat ourselves on the back for the NC State win and the Pitt win. All of that stuff, to me, is completely washed away now. I'm glad the players got that experience. I'm glad it helped them grow. But it didn't help them grow enough to beat FSU today, and it didn't help our coaching staff grow enough to beat FSU today. That's the final straw for me, Jordan. Honestly, I'm done with this staff completely.
Yeah, I am too. Yep. So in the last, in the last 3 years, it's pretty much Pitt and Virginia. Have been the best teams in the Coastal Division, and that's how, dude.
Take a look at the talent they have. You just look at the talent, their recruiting classes alone.
Yeah.
And you look at our classes and you go, how the hell can they beat Miami on a consistent basis or do better than them on a consistent basis? It makes no sense.
Well, and even still, I respect both those coaches, Pat Narduzzi and Bronco Mendenhall. But if you're making a list of the best coaches, the best college football coaches in America, how high are either of those guys? 40s?
Yeah.
Maybe 30s, 40s.
Yeah.
I could see someone putting them in the low or the high 20s, maybe, 28, 29. But that's the range. And do you really want to be out-coached across a 3 to 5 year span by a guy who's the 36th best coach in the country?
No, No, you don't. Especially if you're going to go to a school like Miami that hasn't proven that they're going to do what it takes to win. That isn't going to commit to winning on all levels.
Well,
so you go there and you go, I'm at Miami. I've got all the flash. I've got the turnover chain. I've got all this gimmicky hype stuff going on. Oh, but crap, I forgot. We don't have what it takes to beat Virginia.
Yeah. Well, dude, and you're in South Florida. Like, put a blindfold on and walk a mile in South Florida. How many future NFL players will you bump into? You know, like, they're everywhere. Like, future NFL players literally are growing on trees in South Florida. You know, like there's so much talent. Okay, there is so much talent. It's the most talented place in the whole country. Okay, and like it's just so frustrating.
Bro, when the NFL season started, there was more kids from the Miami area on rosters in the NFL than there was from any other city in the United States of America.
Yeah.
Period. Right there. So we're not just talking about what's in our backyard for recruiting in college. We're talking about guys who are in the NFL and starring in the NFL. So there's a big difference between bringing in a guy who's just good in college and the difference between bringing in a great guy in college who can go on the NFL and do big things.
Yeah.
You know, that's where we've been stuck a little bit on that. We get just a handful of guys who can perform and everybody else just doesn't pick up the slack. And it's tough, dude. I don't know if that is just an inherent issue, especially with the defense, with Manny, the way it's ran, or if it's just a lack of development mixed in with poor choices in the transfer portal. You know, it's just these moves we've been making, bro, they're not good. They're simply not good moves.
Yeah.
There is I got a shout out I need to give here, man, to my boy. He's Bang Bang Canes there on Twitter.
Yep.
His son, unfortunately, is in the hospital right now and had to go through something tragic. It was a freak accident. Ended up having to ended up having a stroke, I believe. Total freak accident. His name is Taj. They're running a Taj Strong right now. Hashtag TAJJSTRONG. They're running that right now on Twitter. He is a diehard. His dad's a diehard Canes fan. He's actually from the Northwest, up kind of in the area where I'm at.
Yeah.
Just wanted to send prayers out to his son and Taj. Keep fighting, bro. Like, keep fighting. We got your back. Yeah. Canes band fan base definitely has your back.
Yeah, for sure, man. Good luck, Taj. Well, you got anything else for us, Ross?
Yeah, I just got one guy I want to touch in on here before we go. Okay?
Yeah, all good. I just, it's kind of one of those losses where it's like, I don't have much to say after this kind of loss.
I understand.
We all know what needs to happen, and at this point, it's just waiting for it to happen. So
we had to just kind of reiterate a lot of things and things that we talked in the past that ended up coming true, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I have to switch on over to FSU, and I have to give their defensive end, Jermaine Johnson, I have to give him a lot of credit, dude.
Yeah.
He is an NFL player. That guy was a nightmare for us today.
Oh,
he was an absolute nightmare for us. And without him, I'm not sure that the game would have gone quite the way it did for FSU. He made huge key plays. And even when he wasn't making the plays himself, he was even set up for his other guys. He'd get guys off the blocks early. He'd get them pushed back. He'd open up lanes for other guys because we focused on his rush.
Yeah.
So I just got to say, man, Jermaine Johnson, one hell of a player at FSU, and he will be playing on Sundays. We got guys on our team that would play on Sundays too, but we still couldn't get the job done, and that's what's unfortunate. And that's kind of just where we're at right now, Canes fans. We are a mediocre team to a bad team. That's where we are, with occasional bursts of decent play. They're not consistent. They never last. So basically, they're fraudulent bursts of. That's how I see it. It's fake success.
We're a bad team with a lot of talent, and that's going to happen, right? Because
that's a good way to say it.
You have Charleston Rambo. He's going to go for 150 yards. Like, you're going to win those games, right? You're going to have TBD, completing 75% of his passes, throwing for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like, you're going to win those games, right? But you're right. We're a bad team. We're a mediocre team with good players. And that's 500. That's what makes you 500, Yeah.
Well, man, Canes fans, we just want to thank you guys for joining us. I know it wasn't what we wanted it to be. We all wanted to jump on here and just talk shit about FSU and just say that we railed them again, but it didn't happen, guys. We lost to a bad team today. We lost to a bad team that happened to be our rival.
Yeah.
We've got to look ourselves in the mirror. We got problems. It's no one else is going to fix Miami. Miami needs to fix Miami. We have to look in the mirror and we have to own up to the shit we're doing. And if people can't, then they need to go.
Yeah.
Period. So thanks to the fans who showed up, man. This is our show here that we do every week on Mark Rogers TV. We do our post-game show after Canes games. We hit about like a 265, 270 fans with us, a little over 200 right now. We greatly appreciate you guys tuning in. Greatly, man. I mean, we do this stuff to hopefully give you guys the information that you need. Like I mentioned, this wasn't exactly what we wanted to go through today, but regardless, win or loss, me and Jordan will always be back. And we just wanted to thank you guys again for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Yep. See you guys.